Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Excel Snippet, your new YouTube channel. We are going to start a new formula called rand array. This is our video number 3 from Vinod Kumar and iSelf Academy. Let's see what is the new changes that Excel has did in Office 365 rand array function. In the earlier versions, we used 2 different formulas to achieve the result, wherein in our Office 365, we have only one formula where you can achieve both of them whenever or however you want it to be. Let's see how to work with this. The first function that we are about to do right now is a logic called rand function. So as I quoted in the first screen, the rand function populates a number between 0 to 1, a positive number in a decimal position. That's what a rand can do for us. When I go for a rand between function, you can specify a lower number and a higher number, and it populates a number between those numbers specified by you. But in the rand array functionality, you can do both of them together in a proper way. You can either use the rand array function as a rand function or a rand between function according to your usage requirements. Let's see how to populate this workout, and let's see how to use these formulas. How this was used earlier, and now I'm going to use it right now using a brand new function in Office 365 called rand array. So let's go back to our sheet 2. Here we are not going to do any syntax as such in our rand functionality. We don't have any syntax. We just type rand and then give a tab and give an enter, then it populates the value automatically. But I'm using Office 365 functionality here, so it would use the spill function in our rand functionality. And when I work with the rand array function, I can specify the number of rows and columns that formula has to populate. If I want to populate the rand function to a particular row or a particular formula, we have to manually select the column here and hit a Control D functionality, or you have to select the multiple rows and columns, and Control D will allow you to activate this, and Control R will allow you to populate the value to multiple lines. If I use the same functionality, or if I'm using the same logic, the next function called rand between, here I have a syntax for. So when I go to a rand between functionality, here it populates a number for me and it asks you what is the bottom number that I'm going to give and the top number. So I'm going to just give a bottom number and a top number and give an enter. Now you can see automatically it populates a number between 10 to 100. It won't go below 10 or about 100. Now I'm going to populate them by Control D and Control R to populate it in rows and columns. Now I'm about to achieve the same functionality using our rand array function. When I use a rand array function, the advantage that I have in here is I'm going to put both these formulas in one shot, and I'm going to stop using the following thing that I've used earlier. Where I want to populate a data in a column, I used Control D. If I want to populate a data in a row, I use Control R. I'm not going to do both of them in rand array function because the function itself gives you that option for us. So let's see how to work on this point. The next part is called rand array. And when I give a Control A, you can see the following stuff here. If I don't populate any of these data yet, the system automatically gives you a number which a rand function gives to us. When I give equals rand between or rand array and give an enter, you can see it populates a number between 0 to 1 automatically. And this is a rand function that I'm using instead of rand array functionality. And if I want to use a rand between function, the same logic, I can do that. And for that, I'm going to just go back to my rand array functionality again. For that typo, forgive me about that. And I'm going to give first row and first column, and then I'm going to give the minimum value, and then I'm going to give the maximum value here. And it will ask you a question: would you like to have this as a decimal number or an integer? preferably choose them as an integer number here. When I give an enter, you can see that it gives you a number called 16 here, where I'm using a rand between function. Right? Now I wish to combine these two functionality. So a multiple row and a multiple column. So how do I do that? So this is where my next function, or this rand array function expands. The first part is I'm going to give one row and I'm going to give two columns, or I can just say 5 rows, 5 columns. The minimum number has to be 25, maximum number is 125, and I need a decimal number here, not a functionality which is called integer. So I give a false in integer function. Then I give a close bracket and give an enter. Now you can see automatically it fills the data with the respective number of rows and the respective number of columns. And then it gives you a value which is a number with a decimal position in it. And it combines the rand and rand between functionality with best possible way. Hope this particular function may be useful for us, but again, in reality, I don't know how many of them will use a random number to work around for scenarios and for multiple management scenarios, or if you want to feed a value which is either between an integer number or you want a number with a decimal position in it, probably this function may be a very handy one. Hope you got a new idea about rand between functionality and rand functionality and the rand array functionality in Office 365. If you never heard about the rand and rand between, this is the place where you learn it for the first time. The rand array is a brand new function which is available for Office 365 users. Whether you are a home user or whether you are an Office Pro Plus user or a business user, you get all of them will get this rand array function by default functionality for you. I'm using a business functions, or I'm using a business subscription. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Signing out.